The Story Vault presents Gunslingers, Episode 6, Whiskey and Wounds, a Cassidy Quinn story. The town of Dry Creek sat under a dusty haze, its wooden buildings weathered by years of relentless sun and wind. A single dirt road cut through the heart of the settlement, flanked by a saloon, a general store, and a small hotel with peeling paint. The air was thick with the faint scent of horse sweat and gunpowder, and the occasional creak of a swinging sign or the clink of spurs broke the silence. It was a place where law was scarce, and trouble was never far away. Cassidy woke with a groan, her head pounding from the whiskey that had flowed too freely the night before. The room was dim, the curtains barely holding back the morning sun. She sat up slowly, her hair falling in golden waves across her face, and stretched, feeling the ache of a restless night. Then she noticed him. The young man lying beside her grinned, his bare chest rising and falling with a relaxed rhythm. His boyish charm and the proud look in his eyes told her everything she needed to know. "Morning, ma'am," he said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and satisfaction. "Last night was unforgettable." Cassidy sighed, running a hand through her hair. She reached for her hat on the bedpost, placing it firmly on her head as she stood. "Don't get used to it, boy," she said, her voice as dry as the desert outside. "Ain't gonna happen again." His grin faltered, but he managed to shrug it off, watching her with admiration. Cassidy ignored him and moved to the chair where her clothes were draped. She grabbed her black leather pants, worn and dust-streaked from long days on the road. She slid one leg in, then the other, pulling them up over her toned hips with a practiced motion. The leather creaked slightly as it hugged her form. Next, she reached for her beige linen shirt, the fabric soft and well-worn. She shrugged it on, the hem brushing her hips, and began buttoning it up with deliberate movements. She left a couple of buttons undone at the top, enough to keep cool in the heat while maintaining her no-nonsense look. She tucked the shirt lightly into her pants, adjusting it until it sat just right. She strapped her revolver to her hip, her fingers brushing over the smooth leather of the holster. The weight of the weapon was familiar and comforting. Shouts echoed from the street below, sharp and angry. Cassidy froze, her instincts sharpening. Moving to the window, she peeked out through a gap in the curtains. Her heart sank. Silas's gang. They were here. A dozen men, rough and armed, were searching the town, their voices loud and threatening as they called her name. She cursed under her breath, her fingers tightening around her revolver. "You know them?" the young man asked, sitting up in bed, his tone now uneasy. "Stay out of sight," Cassidy ordered. "This ain't your fight." Before he could argue, she was out the door, her boots clicking softly on the worn wooden floor. Her hat cast a shadow over her piercing blue eyes as she moved quickly and silently through the hallway. Cassidy slipped out of the hotel's back entrance, the cool morning air sharp against her skin. She kept to the alleys, her sharp eyes scanning every corner as the gang's voices grew louder. They were getting closer. Gunfire shattered the stillness. Cassidy ducked behind a water trough, returning fire with deadly accuracy. One of the gang members fell, but the rest pressed forward, relentless in their pursuit. Her path led her toward the river, where a paddle-wheel riverboat was preparing to depart. She sprinted, her breaths ragged, her arm burning as a bullet grazed her shoulder. Pain shot through her, but she gritted her teeth and pushed on. The gang's shouts were deafening now. With one final burst of effort, Cassidy leapt onto the riverboat as it pulled away from the dock. She collapsed onto the deck, her vision swimming, blood dripping from her arm. Cassidy lay on the deck, struggling to catch her breath. A shadow fell over her, and she looked up to see a figure kneeling beside her. Cloaked and mysterious, their face was partially obscured, but their voice was calm and steady. "Looks like you've had a rough morning," they said, their hands moving deftly to examine her wound. "Who the hell are you?" Cassidy managed, her voice weak but defiant. The stranger didn't answer, instead pulling out a small kit and beginning to clean and bandage her injury. Their movements were practiced, almost gentle, yet efficient. Cassidy's head swam, exhaustion overtaking her as the pain began to dull. "Rest," the stranger said. "You'll need your strength." Cassidy's eyes fluttered closed, her mind clouded with unanswered questions. Who was this person? And why were they helping her? The riverboat glided down the mist-covered river, its paddle wheel churning steadily. Cassidy lay unconscious, her arm bandaged, the stranger seated nearby, their face still shrouded in mystery. The boat disappeared into the fog, leaving the town and Silas's gang far behind. If you enjoyed this episode of Gunslingers, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an adventure with Cassidy. Let us know what you think in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and theories for the next episode.